my daughter!
Help me, my daughter! You made me suffer.
The night my parents threw me out, the world went silent in the loudest way possible. I remember standing at the door with a small bag that held my clothes but not my life. Their words were firm, final, and empty of love. No one hugged me. No one asked where I would sleep. The door closed, and it closed the only home I had ever known. At that moment, I didn't just lose a house. I lost my parents, my safety, and the child I was allowed to be. I walked that night until my legs ached and my tears ran dry. I kept asking myself, what kind of daughter gets discarded like a mistake? I wondered if I had been too bold with my dreams, too different, too determined to live a life they could not control. By morning, I had learned my first painful lesson. Love that is conditional is not love. It is a cage. The early days were brutal. I slept wherever kindness allowed. Some nights on floors, some nights sitting upright because there was nowhere safe to lie down. Hunger became my companion. Fear became my shadow. I learned how to smile while breaking inside. How to say, I'm fine, when nothing was fine at all. I felt invisible, like the world had erased me the same way my parents had. What I didn't know then was that after I vanished from their sight, my parents began to search for me. They went from house to house, asking relatives if anyone had seen me. They walked into churches, markets, and neighborhoods, calling my name. My mother cried in places I would never see. My father carried guilt he didn't yet know how to name. But they could not find me because the girl they were looking for no longer existed. While they searched, I fought for my life. I worked jobs that broke my body and humbled my pride. I cleaned, saved, carried loads, and endured insult in silence. Many nights I cried myself to sleep, whispering my dreams like prayers so they wouldn't die. I studied wherever I could, on buses, late at night, in stolen moments between exhaustion and hope. There were times I wanted to give up. Times I asked God why I had to suffer so much just to survive. But every time I almost quit, I remember the door closing behind me. I promised myself I would become someone that moment could not destroy. Years passed in struggle, discipline, and quiet determination. Slowly, painfully, I rose. Step by step, I turned survivor into purpose. Against all odds, I made it through school, through training, through moments when loneliness screamed louder than my ambition. And one day, I stood there in a white coat. I had become a medical doctor. Not because life was kind, but because I refused to let cruelty write my ending. The girl who once begged for love now saved lives. I built a future with my own hands, scars and all. I no longer waited to be chosen. I had chosen myself. 10 years after I was thrown out, fate knocked on my door in the most unexpected way. It was a long shift at the hospital. The air was tense, the corridors busy. Suddenly, one of my staff rushed into my office, panic in her voice. "Doctor, we have a critical accident victim. Several injuries. We need you immediately." I stood up without hesitation. This was my world now. Pain, urgency, responsibility. I walked into the emergency unit, prepared to fight for another stranger's life. Then I saw the room spun. Lying on the bed, covered in blood and wires, was my father. The man who once told me to leave. The man who stood his back on me. Now broken, unconscious, helpless. My heart shattered all over again. I froze, my hands trembling. 1,000 memories crashed into me at once. The door closing, the night I starved, the years of silence. I felt anger, I felt grieved, I felt love I had buried but never killed. I wanted to run, I wanted to scream, I wanted answers that were 10 years too late. But I was a doctor. I took a deep breath and steadied my hands. Whatever had happened between us, a life was lying in front of me, and I chose to save it. I walked on him with everything I had, every skill, every ounce of strength. When the surgery was over and he was stable, I cried. I stepped out of the room and cried again, the first time in years. Not as a broken girl, but as a woman who had carried too much for too long. When he finally woke up, I was there. Our eyes met, and recognition slowly filled his face. Confusion turned into shock, shock into tears. His voice broke when he whispered my name, as if saying it might make me disappear again. In that moment, my mother was called. She rushed in, and when she saw me standing there alive, strong and whole, she collapsed into tears. Years of regret poured out in sobs and apologies. They told me they searched everywhere. how they never stopped wondering if I was alive, how guilt had haunted them every day since I left. I listened. I didn't interrupt. I didn't accuse. I didn't pretend it didn't hurt. I told them my story, the nights of hunger, the loneliness, the pain, the fight. I told them who I became without them. There were tears on all sides. Silence where words could not survive. Forgiveness did not come easily, but it came honestly. We choose healing over hatred. We choose truth over pride. Slowly, carefully, we began again. Not as we were, but as who we had become. That day, the door that was closed on a fretted girl finally opened again. We reunited as a family, not because the past was erased, but because love finally found its way back. And the woman I became after my parents threw me out, she didn't just survive, she healed us all. Please make sure you subscribe to this channel, like the video, share it, and I know that you truly enjoy this story. Please click on the subscribe button and subscribe. I love you all.